Good morning, you're welcome to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. My name is Rume Paulson. It's Monday, the 13th of January, 2025. Yes, and in fact, it is known as Make Your Dream Come True Day. So all of the dreams that gives your life purpose, it's time to make them a reality. All right, on today's breakfast show, we'll be looking at several hot topics, one of which Lagos government urges workers to rethink planned strike. Much later in the show, we'll be discussing inflation, commodity prices likely to remain high amid persistent pressures. We'll also be taking global stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies, as well as some top trending stories. But first, let's check out our quote of the day to set the tone. All right, our quote says, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become," and that is according to Buddha. Now, Buddha was obviously a wandering ascetic and religious teacher who lived in South Asia during the 6th and 5th century, and he was a founder of Buddhism. And this morning it says, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." So it starts with the mind. The moment you picture it in your mind's eye, it will happen. So it depends on what you're picturing at this point. Are you picturing positive stuff or are you picturing negative stuff? Whatever you fixate on, whatever you meditate on, that is what you become. So you're not just going to become, that person that you want to be if you're not ruminating on those thoughts. So of course, it starts with your thoughts, and from your thoughts, you start to put them into actions, and from actions, it becomes a reality. And that is what Buddha is saying this morning. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. So it's important that you are mindful of your thoughts. You're not just allowing, wandering things that are not positive to go on in there. It is mental, because everything is psychological. So it is important that you guard your mind, you guard your thoughts, and you're meditating on the positive things so that it can become a reality in your life. So what you think, you become. What are you thinking today? That is the question. And we hope that you're thinking good things for yourselves. We hope that you're thinking of all of the amazing things that you're going to achieve. We hope that you're thinking of those dreams that are going to come true for you. So your mind is everything. What you think, you become, according to Buddha. And that's a very, good quote to actually start the week. We're still in January, so we want you to move, along the year with this kind of mindset, and hopefully, your life will just be better. All right, that's it for our quote of the day. We'll move over to some top trending stories. This first one says, ASUU opposes abolition of Tetfund, urges government action. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has expressed strong opposition to the federal government's proposed abolition of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. That's the Tetfund. ASUU, specifically the Owerri zone, argues that scrapping the Tetfund would benefit private universities at the expense of public institutions. The union emphasized that the Tetfund has been essential for the development of Nigeria's public tertiary education sector, and its removal will undermine the national development. In a recent press briefing at Nnamdi Azikiwe University Owerri Zone, coordinator Professor Dennis Aribodo highlighted the potential negative consequences of the proposed tax system changes. Starting from 2030, funds from the development levy are set to be redirected to NELFund, which ASUU fears could jeopardize the survival of the Tetfund. The union also reiterated its commitment to opposing the move and is engaging with the National Assembly to protect the Tetfund. The union called on stakeholders, particularly the National Assembly, to intervene and ensure continued support of public universities. ASUU views the abrogation of Tetfund as a serious threat to public tertiary education in Nigeria and urged the government to reconsider the proposed changes under the Nigeria tax bill of 2024. So a lot of things are changing in Nigeria, a lot of restructuring, a lot of reforms. We've seen so many of them, come into play. But of course, the Tetfund is another thing that is here now. And with them arguing that it's going to be at the expense of the public institutions, it's quite understandable. But I mean, there's still other things to worry about because, of course, a lot of people would rather send their kids to private institutions because of the timing. Most times, the government, have issues with ASUU, and ASUU goes on strike, and then your kids or your wards, your kids are at home. And instead of them to be in school, and a course that's supposed to take about maybe 4 years would spill over to about 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes, at worst. So I understand that part. So there are other things to also worry about. But with the Tetfund, it's important that, whatever fund needs to go into the public institutions, we still need that because it starts from there. And I know that a lot of people would want a Nigeria that has free education, at all levels for everyone. So if we're always going to focus on, ASUU is going on strike or the Nigerian government isn't doing as much and our wards will just rather move them to private institutions, then it's almost like we're killing our public institutions. And how about the people that cannot afford the private institutions because they go for a lot of money. It's a whole chunk that you have to take out. So how about people that cannot afford that? So I understand, what is being said about the Tetfund. I know also the student loan, that's another thing that's even an issue when it comes to the educational system in Nigeria because a lot of people are saying that they cannot access it. So many people have not been able to access, the student loan. So I think the government definitely needs to look into this holistically and see what can be done. Ensure that let something be working. Let our educational system in Nigeria be working. All right, another top trending story says Nigerian passport access and its global implications in 2025. The Nigerian passport holders have access to at least 46 destinations in 2025, including countries offering visa-free, visa on arrival, or e-visa options. Some of these countries include Benin Republic, Ghana, Kenya, Seychelles, and Zimbabwe in Africa, as well as international destinations like the Maldives, Fiji, Antigua, and Barbuda. The Henley Passport Index highlights these travel opportunities based on diplomatic relations, visa processes, and border security measures. Despite the expanded access, challenges persist within Nigeria, especially concerning border security. Despite a multi-billion naira border surveillance system launched in 2019, illegal migration from neighboring countries such as Benin, Chad, and Cameroon continues. Reports from border communities in Kwara and Jigawa states suggest that migrants, including bandits and terrorists, still cross into Nigeria undetected, revealing flaws in the current border control system. Experts argue that the limitations of the Nigerian passport, such as its low global ranking in terms of visa access, reflect internal challenges facing the country, including economic instability and poor governance. While the Henley ranking focuses on visa mobility, Nigerian officials highlight the importance of bilateral agreements and the country's commitment to global passport standards. Nigeria has been a member of the International Civil Aviation Organization since 2009, and officials emphasize that strengthening the passport technology is key to improving global perception and mobility. In Nigeria, we have the green passports. Of course, it's an ECOWAS passport, and there are only so many countries you can go with that passport. I know that, our parents' time, they'll tell you, with my passport, I could go to the UK, I could go anywhere that I wanted. But time and time again, over the years, we've seen the passport just get down the chain when it comes to access, when it comes to relevance. And now a lot of people are trying to even get other passports. You're seeing people going to other countries to probably invest so that they can have a second passport. And sometimes it's understandable because you need a backup plan, or if you have to travel, how many times do you want to go to the embassy to get rejected? It's a whole lot. It's a struggle, really, all those visa processing and all of that. So sometimes people would rather just pay for another passport, so invest in another country. There are so many like St. Kitts and Neville or Nevitz or something like that, and you get another passport. But I'm sure if we can strengthen our own passports, the access that Nigerians can have if they want to travel, then people would not even need to get a new passport or to get an alternative passport, a backup. Instead, it will be people coming here to get the Nigerian passport because we can fly to as many countries as we want. 46 countries or 46 destinations is quite a limited number, because I know that there are other passports that will give you 100 and something countries that you can access with that. So, of course, this is where the bilateral agreements with all of these countries come in, and we need diplomatic relations with them, so that I can carry my passport and say I want to go somewhere and I'm able to go there. There's so many countries that, in fact, if you do not have a UK visa, you cannot go there. If you do not have a US visa, you cannot go there, because most times if you're hopping on a plane, you might have to have a layover there. So what do I do, especially if I do not have the visa of that country? So I understand, that the government is doing their best. The President obviously has been talking to other investors from other places, as well as trying to have better bilateral agreements for us, but we still want more. And if the Nigerian passport is going down the ladder, going down the chain, it's quite unfortunate, and we need to find a way to strengthen the passport for everyone so that we can access more places. We can travel. I'm sure there are lots of people that love to travel, that would want to travel. I, for one, would love to travel everywhere if I could. But if my passport would restrict me, then that is an issue, because I have to be thinking of so many visa processing fees, and the fees are not cheap, might I add. The fees are not cheap at all. So imagine if you get rejected, what happens? But if I could just get an e-visa and travel there and come back, do my business, that's fantastic. So we definitely need to find ways to strengthen our passport. All right, our final top trending story says, IGP unveils New Year plan for enhanced public safety. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, has issued a strategic directive for a nationwide crime reduction and law enforcement improvement plan. This initiative, aimed at increasing operational efficiency, encourages proactive measures in policing, focusing on strategic planning and statistical analysis. The IGP stressed the importance of moving beyond reactive approaches to crime and criminality and urged officers to be more vigilant and responsive. The New Year Strategic Action Plan will prioritize several key initiatives, including intelligence-led policing, public awareness campaigns, and increased training for officers. These measures aim to strengthen the police force, improve community relations, and significantly reduce crime in the first quarter of 2025. The IGP Egbetokun also emphasized the need for change in attitude among officers, urging them to be more proactive and committed to public safety. To ensure effective implementation of the plan, the IGP has scheduled a virtual meeting with the strategic commanders of the police on January 13, which is today, 2025. He reiterated the importance of maintaining high standards of integrity and professionalism in community engagement while adapting to evolving public safety challenges. The initiative seeks to address the pressing need for a more responsive and well-equipped police force. Spot on. Yes, that's definitely what we need, because we want a society that is safe for everyone. And if we're talking crime, most times, like the IGP has said, it shouldn't just be you reacting. It shouldn't just be you responding to a distress call. How about the intelligence gathering? What are you doing with that? Before a crime is being committed, there's an ideation process. So during that ideation process where these criminals are thinking of this or making their moves, that is where the police comes in, because they're supposed to be on top of the game to ensure that everywhere is safe for everyone. So I think that proactive measure is important. Surveillance systems are important. And it's not even just it's not just our own community here. Just like the other story that talked about our passport and talked about the border control with so many people coming in. You hear of criminals coming in from, other countries, from places like Niger, Cameroon, like those places, because the borders are porous, so they can easily come in. And I think this is where the police needs to work hand in hand, in tandem with our immigration system. Because we do not want a situation whereby Nigeria is safe for all of us, and then we're allowing people to come in to perpetrate some criminal activities. So I love the fact that they are taking the bull by the horn and, challenging themselves for the first quarter of 2025, because crime is a huge thing in Nigeria. Insecurity is a huge challenge right now, and we need to curb it. And not just curb it, we need to nip the bud and make sure that, you know, there's nothing springing up. Before people are thinking of kidnapping, before people are thinking of terrorism, whatever it is, you're already nipping that bud. And I think that's where, you know, this comes in. Of course, the responsibility of the police is to ensure the safety, to ensure peace and order in our society, in our communities, and that's what they should be doing. So even before anybody thinks about it, you're already proactive. And I love the fact that the IGP has challenged his people. So hopefully Nigeria will be safe for each and every one of us. All right, that's it for our top trending stories. We'll go on a short break. We'll look at the weather. And when we return, we'll have Off the Press, where we'll be reviewing the papers. So please stay with us.